Hello, and welcome to another episode of Snail Mail with Smokey. I hope you're having a terrific day wherever you're at. Thanks for tuning in. I'm really excited to bring this episode to you today. So the first thing I want to do is I want to show you this binder. Now, if you can see, it says Europe A to H. Maybe if I turn it the right way around, you can see it. When I first started collecting, which has been about 8 years ago now that I started collecting stamps, I knew absolutely nothing about stamp collecting. Like I've mentioned in the past, I bought some books on stamp collecting, I read them, and then I began watching YouTube videos about stamp collecting. But just because I didn't know anything doesn't mean I wasn't buying stamps. So this is the first album that I ever had for stamp collecting. I had this binder. I bought some pages, and I started buying stamps. And one of the first stamps that I purchased was this stamp here. Now I will show it to you in a bigger picture here in just a second. But this is one of the first stamps I bought. Now, I didn't know anything about this stamp. I didn't know anything about where it come from. I didn't know if it was worth a penny or $100. I bought it on eBay. I remember that. I do not remember what I paid for it. Probably $1, maybe $2 I paid for it. But I bought it because I liked it, because it was a gold foil. It was shiny, and it featured two people that I really admire. That is Sir Winston Churchill and President John F. Kennedy. It came out in 1967. It has a face value of 4 and 6 British shillings. And it is from a place that you may or may not be familiar with. And that place is the Isle of Pabay. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So where is the Isle of Pabay? Well, let's go to the map right now and take a look. All right, so where is this island? Well, here's a pretty good view of the world. You see the indicator there showing us where we're going. So let's zoom in a little bit. There is the UK. You see Edinburgh. You see Ireland. We're going northwest into Scotland. We're getting closer. Getting closer, getting closer and closer. And right here is the island. So the tiny island of Pabay, which is diamond shaped, lies in Skye's Inner Sound. It is just 2.5 miles from the bustling village of Bradford. It is about 360 acres in size, and it is predominantly flat. The highest point is only 28 meters above sea level. It has cliffs on the north and eastern shores. It is one of the 5 Hebridean islands of that name. It derives its name from the Norse Pabay, or Pabay, which means Island of the Priests. Now, many visitors, since the first holy man built their chapel there, have felt that the island of Pabay is a deeply spiritual place and one of wonder. It consists of heath, dry grasslands, herb marsh, salt marsh, woodland remnants, and 75 acres of newly planted deciduous and coniferous trees. It also contains 17 different species. There are 32 different species of wildflowers, 49 different herbs, 40 different grasses, sedges, ferns, and rushes. There are also a great population of resident otters and seals. There are 32 different breeds of bird species that breed there, and 72 non-breeding bird species. There is also a very large rabbit population on the island. Pabay Island is known worldwide for its unique genealogy, which consists of fossils, shell, and other features. The shoreline at low tide almost doubles the area of the island and offers many interesting features to tourists. It is also one of the very few islands that have been granted permission to have their own stamps produced and used locally to pay for delivery of mail to the mainland. Now, to find a cover that shows the stamps being used is very rare, but there is still a post box that is located on the island to this day. Now, during the 1950s, the island was owned by the Whatley family, and they remained there until 1969. At the first, General Post Office agreed to make a once-a-week delivery to the island from Broadford. But Mr. Whatley, who owned the island, found that once-a-week delivery was just not enough. He had a pottery and knitwear business, and he wanted to get his products out. And so he attempted to obtain 2 deliveries a week, which was in line for what most other islands in the vicinity were granted. But the GPO refused twice-a-week delivery, sticking firm in their once-a-week option. So Mr. Whatley was unable to find anyone who was willing to undertake the task of collecting and delivering mail on the island, and so he took matters into his own hands and started doing it himself using a converted lifeboat. Now, at this time, the population of the island was only about 12 people. And then in the summer months, the population just exploded from 12 people to about 20 people. So Mr. Whatley was therefore able, because of his own delivering of the mail, to export knitwear, pottery, painting, sculpture, farm produce, as well as some other things through his delivery. So in 1962, Mr. Whatley issued a 2D stamp. Now, the stamp that is shown here is somewhat crude. It was printed in sheets of 4 in blue on white paper featuring the mailboat. The stamps were inscribed Isle of Pabay, Sky Mail Service, Postcard 2. These are very rare, these stamps. I wasn't able to find one for sale online, but there are later sets of stamps that feature flowers, issued in 1962 and 63. Bird stamps were issued in 1964. In 1965, stamps were issued featuring crustaceans. There were a number of overprints that were created for Europa. And then also this Kennedy and Churchill stamp that I showed you at the start of this episode. And a lot of stamps were created for philatelic interest and for collectors. And at the time, a lot of collectors lost interest in collecting because there was like 200 different issues that were produced. The island was just flooding the market with tons and tons of stamps. But in 1971, the island gained new owners, Anne and Edward Gerard. And in August of 1972, 3 new stamps were issued showing a map of the island, enclosing profiles of birds. And then there were stamps of similar design featuring seaweed in the following year, and in 1978. In 1981, there were further issues made that featured fossilized shells. And then in 81, there was an issue of a 10p and 25p stamp that depicted the great northern diver and white-fronted goose. And the new owners of the island decided that if there were going to be stamps issued, then they would have to be of appropriate design, and they would be only issued in limited quantities, and that the designs would have to feature something about the island. So let's talk about this stamp I bought. Because is it a Cinderella stamp or is it a postage stamp? Well, that is the question. I've looked up this stamp in some catalogs. I cannot find a Scott number for it. And it is listed in some of the material that I have as simply a Cinderella stamp. But I don't know if that's really true or not. Is it an official postage stamp? Does it have a Scott number? Not that I'm aware of. But is it a real postage stamp? Well, let's talk about it. Because in my opinion, a Cinderella stamp is just merely a label. It's a sticker. It may look like a stamp, but it has no postal value whatsoever. If you stick it on a letter, if you stick it on a package, your letter and package is going nowhere unless you have proper post affixed to it. But these are different. These stamps actually provided a service. Now, granted, it was a limited service inside the 360 acre confines of this tiny diamond-shaped island, but still a service nonetheless. These stamps have a value on them. They cost you money. You purchase them at the value that's on the stamp, and you can use them for postage within the area. So I don't know. I think that it is a little harsh on this tiny island to call these stamps merely Cinderellas, when in fact I don't think that they are Cinderellas at all. Like I said at the beginning of this, they are one of the few islands that were granted permission to have their own stamps produced and used locally to pay for delivery of mail to the mainland. So to me, they're a stamp, and they're a very collectible stamp. And they're one that I collected without even knowing what I collected. But recently I've been going through my albums again. I've been looking over some things that I purchased early on in my collecting career. And I came across this shiny stamp and I thought, wow, I still like it. Wonder what the story is with it. And so I'm glad I was able to share that with you today. So let me know in the comments, postage stamp or Cinderella? I don't know if there's a right answer, but I'm going to go with postage stamp. Also, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can know when future episodes of Snail Mail with Smokey are available. And thank you so very, very much. We're over 800 subscribers, and I am just thrilled beyond belief at your support. Don't forget to give me a big old thumbs up and leave me a comment below. Until I see you next time, have a great day. Bye-bye.